and radio turned. We are live.
All right, let's wait.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out to the fifth installment of the Bridge News Network. Today we have a mighty fine episode for you. We have a surprise guest. Guest, I should say. There's quite a few. As well as another guest that we did not expect was going to be coming along, to say the least. But anyways, to get us started here today, we have some of the most promising, notorious, possibly infamous Rangers of Chenarus, ladies and gentlemen. And that's right. Right after our damn interview, we decided to step straight into it and get another interview under our belt with from what we heard, might be some very dangerous people, but we decided we wanted to come and meet them for ourselves, as we are the bridge. And we have to get both sides of the story. So, with us here today is a plethora of people. I would like to start from our left here. Of course, we have Rebel, Silas, and me. But to our left here with the goggles on, if you could please say your name.
Ranger Jordan.
Jack Chen.
Jesse.
Sam, also known as Sammy Gibbs or Sammy Steeljaws.
Rude.
Simon.
And with us, which I'm hoping our friends here today can identify for us as our even more surprising guest, who I can only guess to who it is. But she's unable to speak, and if you guys could please introduce her for us, I guess.
We'll call her Sasha. Names aren't important when it comes to her right now.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. Well, we were originally planning to start this one out with just a general introduction with who you guys are and how you might have got started, and maybe some of the whispers that we've been hearing on the horizon about you. The new coming of a new age of Rangers, founded by the original 10, or at least some of the original 10. So, despite having our surprise guest here, who remains nameless for the time, I guess we'll leave that for later. I'd like to begin with you, Jack Chen, and telling us the story of the Rangers and what they're all about, and maybe some of the people of Chenarus can get a little insight to who you are. Please.
My name is Jack. My brother was Shaolin, and together with him and Dive, they were the founders of the Rangers Chenarus in February of 2017. We're a notorious and legendary bandit group that has existed since then and has captured some of the most famous people and also killed some of the most famous people that Chenarus has ever known. Our group prides itself on avarice, rapacity, and brotherhood. This group is a group unlike any other. Our loyalties are to our own, and we go wherever the coin takes us.
All right.
Now, I'll take over for just a quickie if you don't mind, Lane. That saying, that's a saying we've heard before throughout these lands. Wherever the coin takes us. Do you mind giving the folks at Chenarus a little more insight into what exactly that means?
It means that if we see something that we like, we take it. Sometimes not everything is about stealing every single thing off of a person, but rather taking what you need for survival. And at other times, it means making relationships and friendships. The coin is something that's a delicate thing of nature. Profit is always at the heart of every single ranger's heart, but at the same time, we understand what it takes to get ahead. We didn't come along all these years without trying.
Without trying what?
Without trying to make it a fair and balanced way of life.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Now, I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper into your history, Mr. Jack Chen. You mentioned being the brother of a man we've only heard rumors of in the past, a man by the name of Shaolin, who is known for a plethora of things. Depending on who you ask, sometimes might not the best. So I ask you, Mr. Jack Chen, since Shaolin's uh, departure, to say the least, where have you been? Because there's been other leaders of Rangers, and we've heard that since Shaolin, there's been a few others, most notorious and most recently that of Chip's Rangers. So, where were you during that time?
Well, I thought the Rangers had died after me and Dive took off into the woods. Last I heard. Apparently, Chips Rangers was an absolute joke. That's an understatement from what a lot of people have told me here. My friend Sam, to say the least. Rune, Jordan, Jesse, Racine, who was not present with us tonight. They've all informed me of the laughable nature of Chips Rangers. I would even go to say, and I dare argue, that none of them were actually real Rangers. The men that you see in this room are all true Rangers, brought up in the old school way of doing things. Where have I been for the last 3 years? Enjoying my life in fucking peace. But sometimes you have to come back when your friends call for you. And like I said before, with our values of brotherhood, you don't ignore a brother's call.
Absolutely not.
Now,
Chip
was there,
himself was.
sorry, partner, go ahead.
No, you're all right. You're all right. I'm kind of interjecting as it is, but if I may, Chip himself was never a true Ranger. Chip was a prospect who decided to take it among himself to try to flesh out what he thought with the Rangers. It's not how it is. It's not how it'll ever be. You don't just get to decide that you are a Ranger, that you understand the Ranger way. It's a long process. People who are prospects tend to not ever make it to full Ranger. It's a pretty small ratio. Now, that being said, my brother Jack Chin mentioned something about brotherhood. There was a time when him and I were at each other's throats. There were times where I had arranged deals to have him killed. There were times when he had arranged deals to have me killed. He left. I left. We lived our lives in peace. But we heard the call. We put down our old differences. We came together because brotherhood is that important to us. At the end of the day, we're loyal to the coin, but a brother is much more valuable than the coin.
I see.
Maybe later.
Well, well said. Many of the groups we've had the pleasure of speaking to seem to agree with the stance of brotherhood. Even ourselves. I view Lane and Silas and even Milton as brothers myself, so that's something I think we can all understand. So how does one repair Chip's Rangers? What sort of values or how does one go about that?
Well, to repair Chip's Rangers,
Oh.
you got to
Trash the whole thing and start over.
Yeah, basically
Go
what
back
happened
to
to
the
Chip is
roots.
exactly what you do to repair Chip's Rangers. You burn it down. It's like some of the things that happen around the world. It's like a false prophet. You know, that's one of the seven deadly sins, is it not? To be punished in the worst of ways. Now, I mean, I understand building an actual crucifix and actually crucifying someone is maybe a little extreme, but figuratively, that's exactly what you should do.
I mean, it can't sounds like fun.
Oh yeah. If I may add to this before I let my colleague Jordan take over this, you can't be a ranger, as my friend Sam had already said, without actually earning your armband and your beret and your mask. That guy was a fucking joke. Okay, there's no doubt about it. The original 10 would have threw up if they would have seen what that idiot did. No contest.
You never
We
even
are
wore
living,
colors.
yes, and we are living the way it's supposed to be lived with the original book of rules.
see.
Well, hell. So, Jack Chen, you've been away for some time. Came back to the call out of the request of your friends. How many people in this room were under Chip's leadership?
2.
Raise your hand. I think 3.
All right.
I was
You
a member
haven't-
of Chip's leadership. I was the only thing trying to steer that thing to where it should have been. But they exiled me for it.
So, maybe I'm not up to date on recent events when I should be, but what happened to Chip? He go off on a vacation
Jordan,
as well.
why don't you and Jesse can take that over? I'll let you guys tell that story.
It's not a big long story, but the short version, he was wanted by Darkest Midnight, and all they wanted was Chip to leave us alone. So we gave him Chip, set him up, handed him over.
You like Swiss cheese, Lane?
Yeah, I mean, I reckon I do like me some Swiss cheese, or used to.
What about
you
like
look-
melted Swiss cheese?
If you like Swiss cheese, you would like Chip, as he currently sits.
Yeah.
He
Well-
soured relations, let's say.
And everyone was on board with that?
Yes, me, Racine, Jesse, and an older Chips Ranger named Francis. All 4 of us took part in setting up.
So, would it be fair to say that Chip was also somebody that believed in the tenet of brotherhood, and you as well?
No.
So maybe not in the same, not like he should have, not like it should be. Whatever his version was not what it should be.
Sam,
Let me
correct
put it
me
this
if
way.
I'm wrong.
Let me put it this way. If I believe in God, right, and someone else also believes in God, but they believe in God in a different way that you do, and so they walk into your church and piss all over the crucifix, tear out all the pages of the Bible, and scribble their own madness into it, do you treat them nicely? Are they really, truly your brother in Christ?
Well,
Not that I'm a religious man, but that's the parallel that seems most appropriate for the situation. If what you're trying to do is question the dynamic of brotherhood in regards to Chip, we can talk more in depth about that if you'd like. However, I think what I've just stated to you describes that situation the best.
no, we'll move on from that. So we stated what you guys have done to make the steps for setting a course for a new Rangers, but what's the next step?
Wherever the coin takes us. It's that simple.
Now, considering that y'all called back to Mr. Jack Chan over there, is it safe to say he's at the helm of all this? The Rangers.
Can neither
Are,
confirm nor deny.
What was it? Chuck?
You can fly whatever flag you want from the mast of a ship, but the ship is steered from under the water.
Okay, I think I understand what you guys are getting at. You don't want nobody to know who the leader is exactly, if there is one.
It's harder to kill them.
It's
Well.
it's a bit of
Who
a
said
democracy in some senses.
The radio, my friend. People will continue talking as the
Hi,
show
it's
goes
Harvey.
on.
Long-time listener,
Mhm.
first-time caller.
folks, we
Harvey.
ask everyone on the radio if you could please keep your comments to yourself. Now, if you have comments after the interview, then by all means feel free. But we ask that you please keep the airways clean so we can conduct this interview. Thank you.
So, wherever the coin takes you, did it have something to do with our friend here today?
No. No, this is a favor. Like I said before.
All right. Well, unless he had more to touch up on that, Mr. Same.
There's really not much else to say beyond what's already been said about the special guest.
All right.
Uh,
Well, I suppose it's gonna switch it up here a little bit now.
Hmm.
I would like to remind y'all that we are reporters, right? So we hear a lot of things, and part of having y'all here to interview with is part of giving y'all the opportunity to address some of those rumors, maybe even clear the air for everyone. As we all know, rumors tend to get mixed matched in the wind sometimes. So started off, especially with our interruption here. Think I know the answer to it, but I think it would be best to hear it directly from y'all. There's been a lot of rumors since we've come to these lands that again, this is just a quote that we've heard. This is not coming from our mouths ourselves. There's been a lot of rumors that the Rangers are quote unquote in bed with Darkest Midnight. Do y'all have anything to say about those rumors?
Will neither confirm nor deny.
All right.
It's a bit of
Moving
a.
on.
What do you mean by in bed? If you mean, are
Working.
we sleeping within their walls? Are we frolicking through the forest with them? Are we with them every day? Do we sit around, watch movies, and eat pizza with them? No, not necessarily. No. If it should be a situation where it is beneficial for us to be in the same place and perhaps do the same thing, might be different. Very, very, very subjective question. Depends a lot on the context.
well, give us
But it
Fair
does
give
enough.
us some
understand.
context, if there is any.
Well, I'll ask more specific than Taylor to exactly what we've heard. If a good opportunity came up for y'all to work hand in hand alongside Darkest Midnight for whatever reason, would y'all turn it down, or would y'all be open to it if it went into
Someone's
your favor?
outside.
I mean, I'll go check on it. Give me a minute.
Continue.
Is there anyone out here or what?
Suspected, but just making sure.
All right. Is there anything we can do about it? I mean, I don't want nobody getting shot just for wandering into town.
I'm gonna
Suppose
quick
it depends
patrol
on what the
around
favor
the town
is.
really quickly.
Here, come over
But,
here.
Have someone on our
Say again.
I'm gonna quick patrol around the town, just to make sure everything's safe for everybody that's involved with this whole thing.
good opportunity.
All right.
I think you may be a fool to sacrifice an opportunity. But as far as are we actively, jointly working together on something? No.
All right. That answers that, I suppose. Moving on. I don't know if y'all caught our last broadcast, but there was an excerpt in it where there was an event that happened down at the ORCC compound. Now, from what we're told, the Forsaken Loyalists worked alongside y'all in order to gain entry into the ORCC compound. We've spoken with the ORCC, they've told us their side, and we spoke with the Forsaken Loyalists, and they've chosen to leave their answer off the record, which we respect here at the bridge. So, seeing that now we have y'all here, I want to ask y'all the same. Is that true?
Hmm.
Unless Jack has something to say or Sam, I think no comment.
I suppose out of respect for the Forsaken Loyalists, we'll leave
No
that one off the
comment.
record.
All right. This is I just want to remind you, this is an opportunity to, squash any rumors. But if you want to stand by the new comment, then we'll leave it at that.
It's off the record.
It's up to you, Jack, Sam.
Flip a coin for it.
Okay, 1 second.
Let's see what the coin takes us.
And
Do it
is
twice.
heads. All right. Heads again. Take it away.
Where to start? Without giving too much information, what I will say about the ORCC is that business had to be conducted, and at that time, an unnamed individual owed a certain amount of money towards another individual between the three groups, and a dispute broke out. And at this time, I think it would be safe to say that relationships between all three groups are neither friendly nor hostile. I think that the ORCC are traitors, but they are poorly misaligned with the people that they seek out as friends, specifically the 506. Let's be honest here. We all know that the 506 is a bunch of terrorists anyways. They only do what they want. Go ahead. Were you going to say something? No? Okay. As I was saying, a bunch of terrorists, and they can't be trusted. As a matter of fact, I think it would be safe to say, and perhaps maybe you might agree with this, that the 506 are nothing but a scourge to this land. It's unfortunate that the ORCC has to live under them.
Wow, those are some mighty big accusations. Would you happen to have any evidence or any context to support your claim of the 506 being terrorists? And mind you, folks on the radio, this is not in the Bridges' perspective. This is simply our guest perspective. We're just broadcasting it to y'all.
The 506 will play nice. 506 will dress nice. One of the reasons why the 506 is able to dress nice is because they dress up. They dress up as other people. They
like to bully
there's
people.
been, yeah, and there's been attacks on people like you guys who like to be relatively neutral, be nice guys, be good guys, and they'll be wearing colors of other groups. Those are the 506. Those are the 506. Now listen. I know we are not, we're not exactly moral role models here. We're not sitting here claiming to be saints, but
we fucking own what we do.
Exactly. We are honest about who we are, and we're honest about the things that we do, and we're honest about the things that we see. And when we see, for example, the Black Cross, people that go out of their way, put their own selves, their own bodies at risk to help whoever it may be. Now, I understand there may be some issues with Darkest Midnight. I think that's the exception, not the rule. However, when they go well out of their way to be nice and do good for the people of Chenarus, does it make sense for the 506 to dress up as someone else and shoot at them? Does it make sense for them to shoot up the dugout? I don't necessarily think so. Now you compare this to who they claim to be, I call that acts of terrorism. If not terrorism, acts to deliberately cause rifts and division. Go ahead, Jordan.
I mean, quick example, you're talking about 506 being terrorists. I don't think it's a secret that I had some friends in Orc before things went south, but you know, before everything went crazy, out of a 506 member's mouth, I heard 506 threaten to raid Orc if they seen Rangers on the property. So, terrorist, yeah.
Yeah, now think about that. Threatening to raid someone and steal their entire livelihoods, and let's be honest, in the process, probably kill some of those guys. Businessmen, neutral businessmen, purely because people they don't like or they're doing business. So instead of attacking us, they threaten to attack the ORCC. That doesn't sound too friendly to me.
Yeah, so you guys really don't like them 506 fellers.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. When we first met you guys at the ORCC, we had known full well that you had already spoken to the 506 a couple times. Now, whether that was officially, unofficially, whatever, we didn't threaten violence against you because you talked with the 506, people that we don't like. However, the 506, you look at this kind of conversely, the 506 threatened to raid, kill, and steal from neutral traders simply because they did business with someone they didn't like.
No, I hear what you're saying.
We're not saints, but we're honest. We're honest. And you know what? You can always trust an honest person, right? Well, actually, that's probably a bad example. I've been known to lie.
That's a horrible example.
You can always trust an untrustworthy person to be dishonest, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, that's a fair statement right there, but, all right, well, you heard it here, folks, straight from the mouth of the Rangers about the 506, but despite the 506, is there anyone else that you might have some qualms with? Any issues that you might like to bring to light to the people of Chenarus?
Yes, we invite everyone in all of Chenarus to burn Tolga to the ground.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Why Tolga?
Rune, why don't you go ahead and tell that story?
About Tolga?
Mhm.
Well, let's just say they weren't too friendly with us. We didn't even get to see him. I see one fall on our side, and then 3 fell on theirs, all by my hand. So there's plenty more where that came from.
We were in a house
Fucking
cooking
disgust.
dinner. We were in a house cooking dinner, then what? Like, Tolga rolls up, POT rolls up, starts shooting at us.
Yeah.
Dressed up
We're cooking
as
dinner.
us, by the
They would
way.
have knocked on the door, said, hey, we would have shared some steak. They could have eaten
Wearing
the
our
goats
fucking
and the fucking
colors.
cows. Yep.
It's
Wearing
not
our
just that, but a
colors.
purple polka dot. Absolutely disrespectful. They need another fucking place, and I put it in them. I put him there that day.
The people of Tolga can also know that we did go into their camp and forcefully remove all Ranger Chenarus colors. Kindly brought to you by yours truly.
Well, you heard it here, folks, and Tolga, if you're listening, I guess now you know who it was.
Tolga, if you're
Although,
listening,
I
go
don't
fuck
think-
yourself. Love Sam.
I second that. Go fuck yourself.
Come back again. I want more kills.
Oh, how do y'all feel about more neutral camps, such as, well, maybe not neutral, but community camps like folks that like to give back to people, help other people survive, such as maybe the dugout or the overlook.
The dugout neutral.
That's
In
laughable.
general, community camps, yeah, we like them. You know, places where
Good
everybody's
times.
welcome. We like them.
As long as they give us most of it, you know.
Anybody else fine?
Hello.
Howdy, feller. Can you hear me? Yeah, once again on the radio, y'all.
As a safety, we're gonna draw our weapons.
Let him do the radio thing.
Not inside here, you ain't. I'd like to remind you to please keep it nice and safe and friendly here in Grassenstav. We the owners of the town, but we don't want anyone getting hurt.
I'm glad you're on here being a voice of reason, Harvey. Kudos.
Stick him in a shed and gas him.
At least somebody
Alright.
gets it, I guess.
Sorry about the delay, y'all. But, anyways, to kind of get us back on track, is there any neutral camps in the territory that maybe y'all might have issue with? It seems like you're not too friendly with the idea of Dugout being a neutral group. Why is that?
Because they're not a neutral group. They're neutral only to those that they want to be neutral with. Just like everybody else, my friends. Everyone's a liar, everyone's a cheat, and everybody has something that they want out of other people. In Dugout's case, it would behoove them to be friendly to other people so that they could acquire the ungodly amount of stuff that they now have. But at the same time, they also kind of sit around their base singing campfire songs, so, I mean, naturally that would happen when you don't take risk.
I have a story about the Dugout. So, let's see. This was well before Jack Chin came back and we reformed the Rangers. This was after the Jack Chin's initial departure, actually. Myself and a man by the name of Walter, we created a group called the Flock. And the primary objective of the Flock, and this was kind of, I was going through a little bit of a self-righteous phase, I'm not going to lie. Primary objective of the Flock was to prevent any kind of unnecessary suffering, right? So, you know, if we saw two groups kind of having a spat, more or less, we'd step in and try to make peace so people wouldn't have to die for two reasons. There was a time when the Dugout and the 506, for kind of a convoluted set of circumstances, they were on the brink of war. And so naturally, the Flock being who the Flock were, we tried to insert ourselves into the middle of that and prevent people from dying, unnecessary bloodshed from occurring. The Dugout, particularly their leader Lewis, was not too keen on talking peace, which kind of runs contradictory to what you'd expect from a neutral group, right? In fact, Lewis himself kept inflaming the situation, and it became all we could do to just step back and let him fight it out. And I would expect that a man who, you know, presents himself as being reasonable, look at what I did for him in attempting to save him from unnecessary bloodshed and be a little bit thankful. He wasn't. They responded by attempting to have me set up to be executed. They responded with hostilities towards me and the rest of the Flock. For what reason? Trying to save them from getting shot, from trying to help them avoid a war. These are things that we look at when people say that they are neutral, and based on these experiences, we make judgments about whether or not they are actually neutral. Now, the Dugout, because of those actions, they may have changed, but in that moment, and as far as I see them, they are not truly neutral. The ORCC, being firmly in bed, cuddled up right next to 506, seems not to be neutral. Now, that's not to say all community camps are not neutral. Most of them are, and I fully support community camps. And
God
that's
bless
kinda
St.
my spiel.
Joe's.
God bless St. Joe's.
Now, if folks are deemed non-neutral, how do y'all go about it when entering there, traveling through that territory? Are you run around, guns out, or you just tend to stick away from them areas?
No, bullets solve problems.
So you're
If they're not neutral or friendly with us, then they die. It's pretty simple.
So,
so everyone who's either not neutral, or excuse me, everyone who's either neutral or friendly with you don't die, but everyone else dies. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, right, Jack? Am I saying that right?
Sure.
So is there
Oh,
anyone
I mean,
that you would shake
that being
hands with?
said, that there's exceptions. You know, if we come across a good opportunity, we don't always kill indiscriminately. For example, me and Jesse over here, or wherever the hell he is, right now doing something. He might be outside, but anyway, we encountered a member of the Black Sheep, and this relationship between them and us goes back a long time, so it took me a while to explain it. But we're not exactly on neutral terms with them. Well, we ran into a lone member of the Black Sheep just north of Golobo, and we could have shot him in the back, could have put him in the dirt right then and there. But I mean, what's the real reason to do that? We didn't do that. Instead, we shot him unconscious, tied him up, brought him into the woods, engaged in some friendly business, and sent him on his way. And that was that. You know, it's we can be ruthless, we can be very greedy, but when you're cool and you comply, things can go very smoothly as well.
So, is there anyone that you guys do shake hands with that you would call yourself friends?
Ourselves. Friends? I think friends is, well, I suppose
only
it's what
true
you
friend-
make of it, right?
I think the only true friends that we could truly count on are in this room. Ourselves. My brothers here. I think those are the only people that we'll ever 100% count on.
Not necessarily. I've had friends outside of here. I don't know if they're still alive from the olden times, but you know, I think that friendship is what you make of it. I think that shaking hands with someone, as you said, is important, but you know, there is a statute of limitations as far as how far you want to evaluate that friendship. It's all about what they do for you and what do you do for them. Friendships are a deposit and an investment. And hopefully at the end of the day, there's more deposits than there are withdrawals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure does. All right then. So moving on, I reckon I only got one question for you. I mean, it's a pretty rough one. Oh,
Before you get to that, Lane, I do got one question that might not be as rough, and it's a question for you, Mr. Jack Chan. Considering your relationship with the infamous Mr. Shaolin. Now, from what we heard, he's quite the man, and he was quite the leader. Some may agree, and well, most folks seem to disagree with his choice of leadership. But regardless, he was your brother. So now I ask you, Mr. Jack Chan, with your return, I think having a relationship like that doesn't go unnoticed. So I'd be willing to say that you hold quite a high standing within the Rangers. So I ask you, how do you plan to help lead the Rangers, or what do you want your legacy to be? Are you trying to follow the footsteps of your brother, Mr. Shaolin, or do you have your own legacy to leave?
Legacy, by definition, is something that I believe each man and each woman has their own version of making.
Oh, do you need one of these?
My brother was definitely a man that was far more ruthless than anyone that I know standing in this room. I believe that the efforts of leadership, and I'm not saying that I am or am not a leader, but the efforts of leadership are definitely one that's challenging. I would say in your group, someone has a leader, right?
yeah. Rebels are pseudo leader. At least I look up to him. So he's our leader.
And so, what do you think of Rebel? How do you hold him?
Oh, he's my brother first and foremost. Before we even started this Bridge News Network mess, so that's pretty much it. Not by blood,
What
but
do
by
you value
choice.
about him?
Well, I mean, shit, son. We worked together for 20 odd years. Grew up together. Everything. He's my best friend.
And just like how he's your best friend, I'm sure there's some qualities, traits, attributes, and flaws that you would say make him the leader of your group, right?
Yeah, definitely a born leader, I'd say.
So tying it, well, So tying it back towards your question, sir, I think that the burden of leadership can neither be negated nor fulfilled. Everyone always has some sort of price to pay, whether it be mentally, physically, or 6 feet under. I think that my return brings a welcomed face of old blood, and tradition is tradition, so we'll continue doing that.
All right. A lot of old blood showing up here, it seems. I hear a lot of names on the horizon about new groups coming up that I've only heard sweet whispers about, so I don't know. Maybe it could do the region some good. So get on to a little bit more of a heroin question, and I'm sorry, Rebel, do you have any more questions you'd like to ask him?
I do have one, but I'd like to save it for last.
I think I know what it is. Fair enough. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up to date with some of our most recent broadcasts, but the third one we did was a doozy, to say the least. So we went to go interview with Dark as Midnight and turned into a goddamn shitstorm. And as I'm sure some of y'all know, Sam just recently had acquired a young child by the name of Esther. And through the grapevine, through all the people we talked to, the dozens of people we talked to trying to figure out the exact story behind her fate and what caused her to die, well, we were told that you guys were the last in line to hand it to Dark as Midnight. So, I guess I just want to ask you, if the rumors are true, what led you to do such a thing? And if not, then why do so many people seem to agree that it was, well, maybe not at your hands, but maybe Chip's or somebody else's, but a child was killed. And not only that, but eaten and thrown into a fucking shit house.
Well, if you're asking if we killed the child and ate them, no, we didn't.
No, we know who
I
did
think
that.
we already know where the answer is.
They know who did.
Yeah, we were there, son. They described it to us. We're asking y'all if you had any part in the handing over of the child to Dark as Midnight, and if so, why? And if not, then at least maybe explain some of the confusion.
And mind you, on top of that, these sources are coming first and foremost directly from Darkest Midnight. Now I know they, well, it might not be the kindest folks. From what we're told, they don't lie too often, and so we were told by them themselves. And you've also heard from other race sources, and all fingers point to y'all last handing off the baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you I personally had no hand in that. But I can also tell you, like us, Darkest Midnight doesn't have a tendency to be dishonest.
Yeah, I mean, that
The
is true.
official statement is that under my leadership, we did not have anything to do with that child.
Well, if it was under your leadership, would that have still happened?
There's a lot of what ifs that you could always spin out in the world, right?
I suppose so.
So what if it was your group and we'll flip the roles? Let's just say you guys are the bandits and the bad guys, the big scary rangers. What would you do in that position? Change your mentality of how you already are. Put yourself in the shoes of a ranger. What would you do? It's a fundamental question that I have to ask to prove a point.
Yeah, sure. I'll answer it straightforward because I've thought about it dozens and dozens of times after seeing that baby down in the bottom of a fucking shit house. I don't understand the mentality of somebody that could hand over a child to damn, and even them themselves had no idea why you guys might have given it to them. We asked. I have no idea. I could literally not comprehend handing over a defenseless child to those monsters, knowing what the fuck they've done. So, I'm not saying you did, but just replying to how you stated that question.
I suppose maybe another way you could look at it, maybe a bit more pragmatically, is, a life is a life, right? At the end of the day, there's a price on every life. Now, who's to say what this child would have grown up to be? There's plenty of men in this room, and I'm sure that some of you yourselves, since arriving here, have become very different from the men that you were before. Now, think about that. We arrive here as people who are already formed by the experiences, hopefully by the good graces of the other people that we've interacted with in the world before. Now, think about a child who all they know is the world that we are surrounded by. If a world like this can turn a good man into a cold-hearted killer, then a world like this can mold a child, a fresh piece of clay, into something much worse, right? So, does it seem grotesque? Yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, the life is a life. There's got to be a price on each life, just like there's a price on anything else. And if we're being honest with ourselves, may have done the world a favor. If, I mean, because who's to say how this baby would have really turned out? And let's be honest here again. Is every day that you spend here pleasant? Or has there been a lot of suffering?
There's been a tremendous
Maybe,
amount of suffering. But
exactly. So maybe a few hours of suffering is better than a lifetime of suffering. Maybe extinguishing a candle before it becomes a house fire is a good thing.
I won't comment on any further on my personal standpoint on that. But I'll at least
Feel
take
free
your
to.
stand.
We're having a conversation.
Oh.
You're allowed to have your opinions and speak on them.
Yeah, well, I think that child had just as many chances as anyone else to survive and have a decent enough life. Sure, every day's not the greatest. We have some shit ones, but the good ones, they shine brighter than the rest, so at least in my mind, I think that child could have had a chance.
Would you wish this life in this world on your own child?
So I'm
I wouldn't,
getting mighty
but I
old.
certainly
But
wouldn't. But I'd do my damn dadgum best to take care of it. And we've met some good folks. Don't get me wrong, it is a fucked up world. And you're absolutely right, we have changed. Every fucking one of us. But to say that there's a chance that that fire could turn into a house fire, well, there's the same probability that that fire could have been extinguished had that child been put into the right hands.
That's the main
Fair
difference
enough.
between that's the main difference between us two. You guys are hopeful, we're realistic.
hopeful is what keeps the world going, son.
Hope is a fiction of the imagination, neither real nor touchable.
The Firekeepers and the Guardians ran on hope. They injected hope straight into their veins. Day
Now they're
in, day out.
gone,
Look where they are now.
but here we are.
The Firekeepers and the Guardians provided environments where there was hope. People had hope. People had good days, and they had just as many bad days. The unfortunate part of that is that through being hopeful, they allowed themselves to be weak. They allowed themselves to be subjected to people who are willing to take advantage. And ultimately, through that weakness, that allowed some of their members to be captured and sold to people like the Cult of Papa. And members of their groups to be brutally executed, brutally murdered, brutally tortured for information purely because they had hope, and through having hope, were a lot more hospitable and a lot more welcoming. Okay? And we can talk about this from a statistical standpoint too. We can talk about this in terms of law of averages. You know, if we have hope that this world will be different, then, you know, this whole brotherhood to the extreme that we as Rangers have and that you as a news network have wouldn't hold up. Because I'm sure if I were to pull out my gun right now and point it to Silas's head, I'm sure the other two of you would want to do something about that, right? I'm sure if I shot and killed Silas right now I'm not going to, but if I had shot and killed Silas right now, if I put a 5.45 right into
Yeah, I get
right
it.
into the middle of
Move
his
on.
chest, shattered his sternum, shot him right between the eyes,
All right, come
you
on.
guys would hunt me down and you would shoot me in the street. You know what I mean? So, does brotherhood to the point of vengeance really hold up if there's supposed to be hope for the world? No, you got to be realistic. Because you know if you wrong somebody or if you do something where you have to and in extreme circumstances survive, there's going to be retribution. And you know that there's always that chance that the average person on the street is going to want to take advantage of you just as badly as you want to take advantage of them to make sure you make that next step. I mean, it's
In
philosophy, right?
in addition to that, I'd also like to add that we weren't the ones that started the Great War. The Firekeepers did. When you have hope, as my colleague has already mentioned here, you've ever heard the famous saying of hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Yeah, sure have.
Yeah.
That saying is more relevant than ever when it came to the topic of the coalition versus the syndicate. When the coalition decided to band together to impose in our way of life, the way we decide to live freely, and now there is no government, no civilization, and no hope left for the rest of us to instill some sort of fake idea that society was ever going to come back, do you really think that's realistic? Do you really think that some saving grace of God from whatever religion you'd like to worship is going to come down onto this forsaken fucking land and save us? I'd like to think that that's very unrealistic, and I dare say to even contest that the people that were part of the coalition were nothing but weak men and women living on this frail and fragile idea that there was hope. There was never hope to begin with. We're stuck here, and this is how it's always going to be from now on.
Well,
Amen. You make the best of it, and make sure that you and your brothers keep living.
I would
Go
like
ahead.
to agree to disagree with you, son. I think hope is driven by the men themselves. And God does do a little help on his own, I'd like to think. But anyways, we're nearing up on an hour for this interview, and reckon some of our listeners like to go stretch their legs, so we're just going to be moving on to the next portion. Um, Rebel, if you'd like to take it away with the last question. The elephant in the room, if I might add.
We, well,
Hey, Rebel.
I think it, yeah. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, sounded better now.
Alright. Well, folks, there is an elephant in the room. It's our, surprise guest, to say the least. Well, I think it'd be appropriate if, maybe y'all Rangers introduced who that was.
It's a matter of the special guest's own personal safety that we do not disclose the identity of the special guest at this time.
Shake your head yes if you want to be identified, no if you don't.
It's up to you. Your call.
Yes or no?
I mean,
Shake your head. Yes or no? Ungag.
That's a yes.
I got it. Turn around.
Well, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Give her gun back.
Yes, Jack. It's all yours.
So, special guest. Go ahead. Take it away.
Okay.
Folks, we have Cookie of the Forsaken Loyalists here. Now, I'll be honest, I'm just perplexed as probably some of y'all. What exactly is going on here? Would you care to share some light on the subject, Cookie?
No comment.
So, I guess we're just a little bumfuzzled at the moment. We're kind of trying to put together why. Is there a message attached to this situation? Is there something that we need to know other than that she's here? She was handcuffed and gagged, and now she's not. Is it simply for
The
somebody
message-
somebody
It's
listening
her
on the
own- it's her
radio
own
to
free
get
will.
the idea?
Her own free will.
Well, then let's ask you, Cookie. Why are you here? We've talked to you quite a few times over the months. What brought you to this scenario? I mean, this doesn't really make sense.
Sure, a lot of things don't make sense, but I need a quick nap if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Everyone, we're going to take a 2-minute break real quick. Be right back with you in just a moment.
Kill the ring.
All right. What the hell's going on, y'all?
That's for
You
sure.
know, for reporters, you ask a lot of questions. and
That's
you
what
should
we
answer
do,
everyone.
son.
Very intuitive. I like inquisitive, whatever the word is.
All right, so I get it.
Nosy.
Let me just do a check here real quick.
Give her a gun back.
Okay, now I can access
Watch that.
my pocket.
There
Thank
you
you.
go, Cookie.
All right, going back live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back after just a very short intermission here. It seems that both the Rangers of Chenarus and Cookie of the Forsaken Loyalist would both like to add that there is no comment to the room, which leaves all of us speculating to what the reason might be. I could only wonder. But besides for that, I'd like to say that we're going to be closing out the interview here shortly, unless there was anything
Fuck
else
it.
that.
I'll push it.
Yep,
I'll push.
go,
Cookie,
do it.
are you in front of the room? Are you in danger, Cookie? Maybe not from these gentlemen, but in general.
No comment.
What about y'all? Y'all claim to be protecting her. Protecting her from what?
Check.
Could you repeat the question?
Y'all claim to be protecting this lady right here, Miss Cookie. So I asked, what exactly you protecting her from?
She's a good friend of ours. Protection is offered to anyone who's a friend of ours.
Right. But you don't typically handcuff your friend, gag him, and make him sit in the other side of the room and not say nothing for an hour.
Got a guy outside.
Okay.
Take care of it.
It was meant to be more for appearance's sake, so maybe there wouldn't be so many questions asked.
She was willing and voluntary.
Well, all right then, folks. There you have it. leaving us with more questions than answers, I'd like to say, at least on due part to Cookie or the Forsaken Loyalist being here. But I will say, even though it was a brief interview, I feel like we have taken the time to delve into who the Rangers are, what they took to become what they are, and maybe what they're striving for in the future. All of you seem like very complex, multifaceted individuals, and I would like to thank you for coming on to the show. We do appreciate that, at least abiding by our rules. I would ask next time that you don't bring a surprise something with you. But if there's any other message to the people of Chenarus that you'd like to send out before we end this interview here, I'd like to open it up to you one last time.
I'd like to take this time to thank you for having us on your show. We were very honored to be on here. And the message to the people of Chenarus, comply or die.
Fuck you.
All right.
I have a quick question, if I can.
Yep.
Well, hold on now.
It's actually for Rebel. Hi, Rebel. It's Harvey, your best buddy.
What do you want?
I was just wondering if you got that thing fixed at Black Cross the other day. Yeah, you know the thing.
What thing fixed?
The rash on your ass that was making you all angry.
All right.
Yeah, thinks he's a fun mate.
Wonderful.
They gave me some cream for it.
Hey guys,
Okay.
shelf it.
Well,
All right, we had a gentleman in red outside. I think we all know what that could possibly mean. So,
oh, hell. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with the Bridge News Network for the 5th installment. We'll be coming out to you next time with news as quickly as possible.
Hold on, Rebel. If you don't mind, I got a question for Sam.
Oh,
real
hell.
Yeah.
quick. Hey, Sam, when'd you turn into a fucking rat, brother? Was all that horseshit you fed us up here in ER about not joining the Rangers again? You were out doing your own thing.
oh, look, it's Sneaks running away in the woods from everybody.
I ain't running from shit. I don't know who you talking about.
Hey, sometimes you gotta say what you gotta say, you know? No hard feelings.
Won't you wander on down here and find?
Yeah, sure. Let me just walk into getting shot. Galaxy brain move. I'm glad you're about as transparent as you've always been, Sam. So, have fun with
Love
that,
you.
bud.
Bye, sweetheart.
Sword.
Why you taking shit from a walking tree anyway?
All right.